Let's come to this. Around 8,000 Wits University students are at risk of financial exclusion, and this means that despite passing their courses, they will still not be able to continue studying as they cannot pay their fees. Well, the Wits SRC says this is an apartheid-era level of exclusion. Its Secretary General, Hlonipho Nxumalo, joins us now for this conversation. Ms. Nxumalo, thank you so much for your time, and welcome to the South African Morning. Now, I mean, this is quite devastating, and it's no surprise because last year we saw the amount of students pleading for financial assistance, whether to buy laptops, afford paying their fees, and it seems these are the results. They couldn't afford to get the money, so they might face exclusion.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. Indeed, at Wits University, as much as we're trying to deal with the COVID pandemic, we're also facing a pandemic of financial exclusion. In any other years, usually the financial exclusion will be around 2,000. This year it has quadrupled. So we have 8,142 students who are at the risk of being excluded. In these students, we have students whose parents were retrenched and they can no longer, who are self-funded and they can no longer afford to pay for the fees. We have students who had bursaries, and the bursaries due to the pandemic, maybe they lost and they could no longer fulfill the commitment of funding those students. In these students, we have those 900 NSFAS students who were defunded by NSFAS, I think, around August. In those students, we have NSFAS students who are on the capped NSFAS. So these students, if I think it's 92,000, the cap, and then anything after 92,000, they have to settle that themselves. In these students, we have international students who are expected to pay 50% of their debt from last year,
right,
and then also pay 75% upfront for this year.
As the Wits SRC, if I may just come in there, Ms. Nxumalo, have you tried to engage with the university, and what's been the response, if so?
We have tried to engage with the university on several occasions. Unfortunately, we were met with arrogance. So as it stands, if you want to register, you have to pay 50% of the debts that you have. Then you can be allowed to register.
So you need to make at least a half payment, a 50% payment, so you can be eligible to at least register for your course, as you mentioned. And we'll speak to the dean afterwards to give them a round of reply, the students' dean. But I want to talk to you about your sort of involvement as a student body. What are your plans to try and help these, some of these students?
Okay, so tonight around 6, there'll be a media briefing. Because we have tried to engage with the management, unfortunately, it has not been fruitful. So we have came with an alternative, of which at 6 o'clock there'll be a media briefing of the solution that we are proposing, so that we can help these students to be able to register. It is unfortunate that the university is not considerate at these times where the pandemic has affected us severely. So tonight at 6 p.m. we have a media briefing of the solution that we think might work to help us register these students.
Right. So you'll only be able to sort of disclose some of those details during this media briefing, I suppose at 6 p.m. tonight. But before I let you go, I mean, for those students that are at home, have you been in contact with at least some of them who had perhaps even described what they're going through at this time? Naturally, around this time, the Minister of Higher Education said that it's closer to time of registration. They need to, make sure that they are registered. But what are they going through emotionally, psychologically, at this time, not knowing whether they will be back in school or not?
It is very bad because we're already back at the SRC offices, and these students come, they cry, they come with their parents. It's really bad. And as a student leader, if you see that, I mean, it's very painful that our government is letting us to go through this. However, we hope that as we launch what we are about, the solution that we want to launch, we hope that it will help. However, we want to assure students that no student will be financially excluded. We will not allow the university to place financial barricades at the doors of higher learning.
All right, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much, Ms. Hlonipho Nxumalo, SRC, Wits SRC, Secretary General.